Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on Their Fight Story with Italia. If you are new here and you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing. Today we have Chase Walden. He is a professional Muay Thai fighter with a current record of 3-4. Chase, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Adalia. How are you?
Been great, thank you. How did you get into martial arts?
Right to it. Let's go. um, so I'm currently 36 years old. I'll be 36 in about 2 weeks. And I started training martial arts when I was 8 years old. Uh, I first got into doing Taekwondo and competitive Taekwondo because my older brother was doing it, and I was like, well, I want to go do it too. So that was, pretty easy. We're both professional athletes now later in life. So growing up, anything we did had to be super competitive, had to be forced towards, we had no interest of just doing things. We wanted to compete. We wanted to be better. We wanted to, go out there and see how good we were, whatever it was, whatever sport we were playing at the time. Um, Later on, I guess, getting into Muay Thai, which is what I'm known for now, not doing Taekwondo. Um, I guess a little more of a complex story.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, me and my brother both grew up doing competitive sports. We're both professional athletes now, and competition was always the focus for us. We always wanted to go compete and go. We know that's where like the best players played, and that's where the guys who wanted to be good went to go be. We always want to be good. So doing years Taekwondo, being a black belt, yeah, I was sold. I was that guy. You know what I mean? I was trying to go to the Kukiwon College in Korea and get a 4-year like degree, master's degree in Muay, or in Taekwondo. I was dead set on that because anything I did, I was gonna do full bore. Um, but I started having a lot of issues as far as being proud of being a competitor because if you're not familiar, those listening with competitive taekwondo, there's two major styles. There's Olympic style taekwondo, which is what you see in the Olympics, hence the name, where they're just kicking back and forth, chest guard, headgear, things like that. But all they do is kick. So it's like a violent sport, but it's not quite a fight because you're playing on points and you have a lot of protective gear. Where, trust me, I was trying to go to the Olympic route. I was shooting for the Junior Olympics at the time. I stopped doing Taekwondo. I was 17 years old. Um, but I've seen guys get hurt. I've seen jaws get broken. I've seen ribs get broken. I've seen dudes get kicked so hard in the cup breaks, and the guy has to leave and go get stitches in his gooch. Like, I mean, it was shit happens in a aggressive combat sport. And the other style was point style, where you could punch, but the first person to get like a significant hit, they'd stop, award you a point, and then start you back over. So there was like, you could fight, but that's not how fighting actually works, and I knew that, and I was cognitive enough of that, and I was getting to the age where like people were like, oh, you do Taekwondo? That's fucking stupid, man. Like, it's not real fighting. And I was like, well, fuck you, man. I couldn't really say anything back because they were right. Um, so I think the big turning point for me was this year's probably 2002, 2001 ish. I ended up going to the state competition and taking first in like Olympic style. And then I was like one of the few dudes that were like, all right, cool, I'm gonna go change out, get my gloves on, go do point style. And I ended up taking first in that, and I broke a kid's nose.
Doing
And that
points?
was, yeah. But like, I mean, it happens. It's a combat sport, you know what I mean? But like, I'll never forget um, being in the back, and my coach at the time, he was like in his 30s. He was probably about a little bit younger than I am now. He was a real cool dude, Jet Thornton. He was like, hey man, you got to like come with me real fast. Just be cool. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, well, okay. And we go to where we have to go talk to these officials, and there's this kid with his blood all over his face and blood all over his fucking gi. And his parents are just like waving their fingers, and they're super angry, and they're like trying to get me stripped of my gold medal. And I was like, oh, you fucking kidding me? What is this? So they were talking to us, and the lady wanted me to apologize because you're not supposed to use like full force in those styles. I really didn't give a shit. So I remember like standing my ground and trying to be as respectful as possible. If you are familiar with me, if you ever talked to me, then you know that my mouth has gotten me into trouble more than 5 times in my life. So I remember just sitting there being like, ma'am or lady, whatever I said. And I probably said ma'am because I'm trying to be polite to her. I'm not going to apologize for breaking your kid's nose in a fight. And like that kid's sitting there like with his hand on his face and he's just embarrassed, like, God damn it, mom, would you stop? I felt bad for the kid. You know what I mean? Like, not only did you just get your fucking face broken and you lost a gold medal match, but now your mom's being a Karen and throwing a fit. Like, that's and full empathy to that guy. You know what I mean? That was not a good day for him. But that was it. That was like, man, fuck this. This is not what I want to do. This is not what I'm looking for. Like, it was that reality check of like, there's other things out there that you need to go find. You know, if this route of competitively fighting is what you're looking for, this is the end of that road.
And how did you find Muay Thai?
So I've told the story a million times, and I'll happily tell it again. It's as romantic of a story as it can be. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Ooh. It was truly love at first sight, is what it was. There are very few like aha moments that we get to have in our life that are like core memories that stick with us. That like, this is it. Like, here's the truth. Universe is talking to you. Here it is. If you choose not to accept this or listen to this, then you know you're a fucking fool. You know. So I was at that Taekwondo school and I worked there and they paid me very fucking well, especially to be a teenager to teach kids and stuff. And that was awesome. I was making a couple $100s a week teaching classes that I would have taught for free, you know? So I was hanging on to that for as long as I could. And it's not like I hated Taekwondo anymore, but I was like, this isn't my thing anymore. So I was looking for something else. Didn't even know what I was really looking for, but I knew that this wasn't it. And the guy who was my coach and owned the gym, something went bad in like a deal or so, you know, so somebody fucked up in business and they were like, hey, as a part of our apology, here are 4 tickets to a local fight event that our car dealership is sponsoring. Please take them on behalf. You know what I mean? That was like a little benefit. And he was like, I'm not going to watch this shit. Fuck that. Chase, you want to go? And I was like, sure. So I grabbed like 4 tickets from him. I took like one of my assistant instructors who was like 12 years old, 13 years old, and my girlfriend at the time. And it was at the Surfside Inn, Oceanside Hotel on 12th Street. And the year had to be 2005, excuse me. And we went and I was like, I'll go watch some fights. And again, 2004, 2005, this is like still the wild, wild west, you know? So I remember going to this, you know, it was kind of a rinky-dink spot at the time, where like the first guy came out, got called out for a submission grappling submission grappling fight. So it was all just submissions, like a 10-minute no-gi jiu-jitsu match. And then no shit, that same dude who just won tapped the guy out, gets out of the cage, walks back to right where he just walked out of. You see him like change his shorts, put on gloves. They call one guy out and they call that dude right back to the cage to do an MMA fight right afterwards. I mean, it was really the wild, wild west.
Wow.
Yeah. And we were like, okay, this is cool. Like I knew what MMA was and I was like aware of it, but I wasn't like a fan yet. And then they had Muay Thai on the card, like the 3rd or 4th fight. And it just so happened that the first fight was a fucking brawl. And I was just remember seeing, like, I didn't even know what Muay Thai was. I knew what kickboxing was because I had done kickboxing. A lot of the guys who grew up doing martial arts in the 90s did American freestyle, whatever you want to call it, AKS, all that shit, which was cool. But I didn't know what Muay Thai was. And immediately, I mean, like the room just, no more lights. There was just a ring. And it was just these people beating the shit out of each other, kicking legs, and they're fucking grabbing each other, throwing them. And I was just like, well, fuck me. This exists in the world. So there was 4 fighters from one gym that just destroyed the competition. And they also just so happened to all be wearing like red and black, dope windbreaker. Like the wind never stood a chance against that team. Neither did the fighters at the event. You know, it was, they just looked the role, you know, it was tight. And I noticed that and I was like, tight. All of these things are checking out. This is where I want to be at. And I also knew that Brandon Vera, Brant from One Championship, Brandon the Truth Bearer, trained his Muay Thai there when he was an amateur. And shortly into his professional career, I believe, before he like hit the big time and like was the truth, because he was also one of the coaches at my Taekwondo gym teaching a program there to make extra money. So I'd heard him talk about it, and I was like, I think that's the place where he went. So Monday, I called the gym up and I was like, hey, I was there on Saturday night. My name's Chase. A badass black belt. Da 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 da. I'm looking to fight. I'm trying to get in there. And they were like, well, when can you come in? Or can you come in tonight? And I was like, Ma. And then I showed up, and then here we are 18 years later.
So, wow. I mean, and I totally understand the whole love at first sight with Muay Thai, because I remember going to different schools and I would want to train Muay Thai. But they weren't teaching Muay Thai, they were teaching kickboxing. And
Yeah.
I always felt like something was missing, and I was always so annoyed. And, at that point, they would teach kickboxing, but for the women, it would be a different style. It was actually like cardio kickboxing. And it's
You
like,
don't say.
you don't, I'm like, seriously, like you're killing me right now. But they would say it's kickboxing, and they would say that they're teaching you Muay Thai, but something always felt like it wasn't complete. And then I went to a show, just like you went to a show, and it was lion fights. I went to lion fights, and it was who was fighting? Joe Nadawa. Nadawa?
Yeah. Joe's cool guy. I got to share the mat with him in Thailand a little bit.
Yeah, he was fighting, and I saw him, and I was like, and I'm like, oh, this is Muay Thai. I'm like, this is what I've been missing my whole life. But the thing is, I don't like blood, right? So I'm kind of like in the wrong sport, because there is a lot of blood in this sport.
Yeah.
There was one, I'm taking pictures, and this guy's like, so Joe like goes through the ropes, and I back up, and everybody's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm not getting hit." I'm like, "I didn't see anything in the contract that says you're gonna die today. If you no." I'm like, "I'm not doing that." And I'm like, "No." I will take the picture after. I step out of the way because it was like blood everywhere. But even the guy was like, "Then why are you here?" I'm like, "No, because I love the sport. I just don't like the blood." And they're like, "I think you're in the wrong sport." And I'm like,
I'm happy
"Maybe,"
for you.
but I totally love it. Like I fell in love with Muay Thai, and it was that you just, once you see it, you fall in love with it. But it has to be, and well, this is my opinion. Muay Thai, like the real Muay Thai, not Muay Thai where they're trying to change it so it's kind of like the point system or things like that, because it's not the same, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
No. I'm with you. I'm just also trying to make sure that I'm about to word what I say slightly politically correct without like trying to shit on anybody, because I have an uppity attitude about Muay Thai.
Okay.
So when I teach my students, I teach them in a very specific way, and I call it like in the truest fashion,
Yeah.
or as in the most authentic way. And again, that's an opinion-based thing. When I say authentic, I've got a good buddy who says he doesn't raise children, he's raising adults.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that's so tight. That really stuck with me. It doesn't matter if you're never going to fight and you're overweight and you're whatever you are. I'm going to train you to be the best professional fighter that I can train you to be. Right. So everything that I do in the context of teaching is as if you were in a bare shin, full rules, 5-round Muay Thai fight based off of that ideology, if you will. Because to me, that's the rawest and most real of any fight of any combat sport can be. 5 rounds, 3 minutes apiece, bare shin, full rules Muay Thai is no fucking joke. So in order to remain authentic, in my opinion, it's not about like making sure you lie on the mats and you use all the Thai terminology and you stand like one of them. Nah, dude. It's all about teaching about how you fight, or teaching your experience from fighting. Not saying everybody has to have fight experience. I think you should.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to though. But authenticity comes from your personal experience. I am a 5-round Muay Thai fighter. I fought kickboxing. I fucking fought for glory kickboxing. I'll fight anywhere for any way. But I am a Muay Thai truest. Like I love Muay Thai more than anything else. And I love it in the 5 round full rules format because that is some hard ass shit for any athlete to be a part of. So when I teach you not as if you're kicking with those shin guards on and you're fighting in a tournament because your tournament, we're fighting differently because it is more point based and you have to do different things based on what may or may not happen in that tournament. You have to be ready for the shit show because it's always what tournaments are, complete shit shows. So there is sanctioning bodies and there are fight events that are going more towards like a point system, which I don't really like as much. But when you're in a tournament format, I can understand that because you're fighting multiple fights in a day and you're not going to be able to always go just for raw physical damage nonstop for 5 to 7 fights in a day. That's crazy hard to do, right? So, when I teach and I teach 5 round pro rules Muay Thai because that's the way it should be, in my opinion. That's when it looks the best. That's when I'm most attracted to it. That's what keeps me in the sport. That's what keeps me wanting to fight to this day is because I love that violent chess match that you won't
Yes.
get anywhere else from a 5 round Muay Thai fight.
I feel like it's a disadvantage to the fighters who are, let's say that, they're amateurs and they're trying to get into being a professional Muay Thai fighter. Now, they go into these promotions where now they're adjusting certain things. You know what I mean? It's more of a convenience type thing. Um, but it's taking away from the real definition of what a Muay Thai fight is. Now,
So
when they,
I'm gonna cut you off right there because I think it's a very important talking point what you just said. And as a referee and a judge and official, there are reasons for that. And there are reasons that we have the A class, B class, C class settings. And that's now what you're saying. I get it, Igdalia. I fucking do. It happens and people are sandbagging and fuck those people. They suck. But if you go to an event and you are looking to go pro and you want to have more of that A class style fight, there are proper protocol to get to that and to slowly build to that without being overwhelmed. Right. And again, that's just a sign of growth in the sport. It's a sign of maturity in the industry overall. My first 5 round Bearshan battle was like, oh, okay, cool. So you did pretty good your last fight. 5 round. And it was like fight number 5.
yeah,
Full rules, Bearshan, go. And okay, we're gonna jump in head first and we're gonna fucking sink or swim. Cool. That doesn't work for everybody and every athlete, especially now that the sport's growing. We have so many more athletes taking part in it. So the A class, B class, C class organization, depending on what sanctioning body you're with, fills that void and serves that direct purpose of like C class fighters wearing shin guards, gloves, and headgear because they're new to this and they have a fucking job to go to on Monday and they don't know if they can afford to have that ass kicking and look like shit as a lawyer. And then B class, all right, cool. They're fighting with your headgear off and then shin guards and gloves only, and then they go to A class where you start, well, okay, well, no shin guards, no headgear. And a lot of guys will do full rules, but with elbow pads.
yeah,
That kind of stuff I'm really cool with because that's how you properly groom a fighter, right? But let's say you get to the A class, right? And there's a lot of guys in the A class. The word A class are also known as open class. Um, and it is full rules and it is bare shin and it is 5 rounds. But one guy says, well, we really want to wear elbow pads. And I've literally had the conversation as an official where like one guy wanted to wear headgear and they were vehemently against it. And he was like, dude, I'm a doctor.
yeah.
I can't go to fucking work tomorrow like this. I hate this too. But if you want to fight tonight, we have to match this, right? Because if one person says they want headgear or one person says they want the elbow pads, you then have to agree because all things have to be equal,
Yeah.
right? So you might get suckered into doing something you don't want to do because of somebody else's personal decision, personal life, whatever it may be. But we have that, most sanctioning bodies, I should say, have that A class, B class, C class organization to groom fighters into that instead to have a lot of guys like myself like, all right, cool, full rules, go. I hope this works out.
But is that just for professionals or amateurs?
That's for amateurs. That's for amateurs building into professional.
Exactly.
That's when you start getting scouted when you're in the A class and there's people like,
Yes.
hey, this guy looks like he's about ready to go pro.
Yes. And that I completely understand as, amateurs building up to that. My concern is when they're trying to now bring that into like the professional.
Who's doing that?
There, you know what I mean? Just people trying to like, oh, well, let's change the rules. Let's not do it this way. Let's not, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, well, now you're taking away. So it's that's no longer Muay Thai. They need to call it something totally different. You know what I mean? It's like when you fight Muay Thai, you're fighting with your all your limbs, 8 limbs. That's what the sport is. But when somebody is trying to adjust it and be like, okay, well now we're gonna grade it differently. We're not gonna do it this way anymore. We're going to um, not worry about if this strike lands, causes more damage than the kicks. Then we're not gonna do that anymore. We are
So that's
gonna
definitely like a sanctioning body to sanctioning body. And where do you live again? Remind me.
Massachusetts. Yo,
Oh,
where?
so you're in the heart of the bullshit. Fuck. Okay, let's rock. Now, okay, now I have context. So, as a referee, I work with a lot of guys from a lot of different places, and I won't mention any names because I'm not going to get them in trouble. But a lot of my friends from New York that I referee with, and in the northern area, I didn't know there was so much bullshit and so much drama in the northeastern hemisphere of American Muay Thai. And from what I've gathered, is that yes, there is a lot of that stuff going on up north that you're kind of referring to. Because I've heard a little bit about that this past tournament, working with different referees from around the U.S. That's not something that we really deal with at the WKA. That's not an issue that we have. We know how we grade. We are the largest and oldest sanctioning body in the world. So we know what's going on with the rules. We know what we do. We have A class, B class, C class settings because that's
Mm-hmm.
why we are who we are, right? My latest interest, I should say, that I have to educate myself on farther is provisional Olympic Muay Thai, because that is going to have a different scoring and grading system. And I'm very curious of how that is going to be done, because just like when for a lot of world teams, like I've seen guys like Simon Marcus, very famous glory champion, very famous Muay Thai practitioner, fight in tournaments overseas where he had headgear, shin pads, chest pad even. And while he's still active as a professional, and he was fighting that way, but that's because that country called for it. That country
Yeah.
requires it. And up north and I love Massachusetts. I used to live there. I got a lot of friends up there. I got family up there. I don't know what's going on with the sanctioning bodies up there, but there seems to be a lot of misorganization and a lot of battling about what the rules are and how it's scored properly, which is baffling to me because I've been working with the WKA for over a decade. I've been working with the GCA for about the equal amount of time. And we've never had an issue with the rules. I work with Virginia DPOR. I actually helped write the training manual for the state professionals at the DPOR. So to hear about people like that having these different opinions about how it goes, like, well, get it together, guys, because there's other people doing it. And if you don't, we're going to smash you guys if we have not already, which is why we're, again, the largest and oldest in the world.
Yeah. How did you, as a professional fighter, get involved into becoming a referee and a judge?
Um, so I've always, yeah, I've got to adjust them in this tight little chair right here. Um, Originally, I was at one of the national tournaments, and it was like Sunday evening where everyone's starting to wind down. I just so happened to be in Virginia that year, so I was there for the whole weekend. I wanted to see all the fights, and as the weekend winds down, sometimes you're losing officials and people have to go back to their home state because they're flown or whatever. They got to get back to work on Monday. And they were down a referee.
Okay.
And they're down a judge. And they needed somebody to fill in. And my coach at the time was like, hey, listen, my guy's got a couple years experience. He's got a couple belts. He's in the A class. He knows what he's looking at. He can fill in. He vouched. I was like, cool, no problem. I can do this. That's not, I can tell you who wins a fight. That's not hard. So I sat down and did that. And then at some point in the day, and somewhere that day or evening, they asked me to get in the ring. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, I can do that. Like, it's not that nerve wracking. You know what I mean? So then I got in there and I was just like, man, this is awesome. Like my heart's pounding just as fast as I do when I fight, and I get all the adrenaline. You're the authority when you are a referee. You are the man in charge. So if things go awry and something happens, that's your fault. because it's your ring to be responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of really good pressure, a lot of really good adrenaline, a lot of really good chemicals moving about when you're in there. And I just fell in love with it. I was like, this is awesome. But as I got more and more involved in Muay Thai, I've always been an advocate for the entire sport from every single aspect that I can. I wanted to grow the sport as big as it can be. And I decided early on in my career that I really wanted to be a part of that moving force. So I got into promoting my own shows. I got into professional fighting. I got into the refereeing, I got the judging. But then when I started promoting my own shows, people were very concerned about the judging and the grading and how is Chase going to have his event? And it's not about my opinion. It's about what the fuck he's saying. You know what I mean? But everyone knows at that point in time, I was definitely one of those old school guys fighting like they do in Thailand, trying to do all that. People were kind of concerned that I was going to have like old school Muay Thai Thailand rules judging. I was like, no, dude, let me get time. Be back, guys. I went and got, the rule book, and I wanted to make sure I could give good professional answers to the people that needed them, because I'm dealing with coaches who have known me for quite some time and know that I know my shit, and I'm not going to have a bad answer for them. And I was like, there's not a lot of detail in these 3 pages. Holy shit. I was like, oh, what's going on? So I took it upon myself to go through that, review, revise, rewrite, edit as much as I could as like a provisional thing for that sanctioning body at the time. And then I brought it to the right people, and they were like, this is a hell of a document. And I was like, thank you. What can we do about getting this involved? Because that way I could show people in detail that, like, at my event, this is how the scoring goes. And they know that this is proper scoring. This is proper etiquette. There is no a kick beats a punch or a elbow beats a knee. Whatever does the most damage. If it does not do the most damage, it is the highest or hardest style and cleanest shot that you can get. Or if it off balance, you know what I mean? There was just set protocol to show people, here's what it is, right? And that got me deeper and down the rabbit hole. And then the more I get involved in refereeing, the more I get involved in promoting shows and doing all these things, I realized that there wasn't a lot of continuity. And I was like, okay, if we're going to grow, we all got to be on the same page. Who do I have to know to get everybody on the same page? Like, who's on this page? Who's on this page? Who's on this page? All right, I need to get to know all 3 of the guys that are writing these pages. Mm-hmm. Let's talk, gentlemen. So it just, one thing leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next. And you see, oh, well, there's a big void over here that we have to fill. Now this void's filled. How do we fill this one? And it's a constant battle that we're still a part of today, 18 years into the damn sport.
Yeah, it's not easy. People think it's easy just sitting there and looking at people fighting red corner, blue corner, but there's a lot that goes on. And just being a referee, being in charge of the fight and making sure that you can see when something's off. You know what I mean? Because that's something that people don't realize. They think, oh, well, he stopped it too early. And it's but let's think about it for a second. Is it too early for you, or is it too early, for the ref? Because the ref is looking at certain things that we can't see. We don't know if he's seeing the body language of the fighter where he's shutting down, like something is completely off. Or has he just taken too many strikes? Or, because what our opinion of what a strike is, it isn't the same thing as you being in the ring and watching.
People have to remember that those people, quote unquote, aren't aware of what information that we are privy to and what information we are not privy to. We don't even have, right? So it happens on certain events where people are like, hey, man, you see the judges talking to the other officials and talking to the referees all the time. Y'all know what the fuck we're talking about. What I'm just hearing from this guy right here is that the fighter, who's highly talented in the red corner from a gym in Philly, it's a fighting city, got his rib broke 3 events ago, and this is his first fight back. So if he starts to wince a little bit, you need to watch out for his medical health. Yeah. They don't know about that. Yeah. These guys don't know that, fighter in the blue corner's medical says he has a slight heart condition. So if he starts to, you know what I mean? Like, you guys don't know what information we do and don't have. Also, you watching on TV, I'm standing 3 feet fucking away from it. Fuck you. I know what this looks like right here in front of me. That's why I'm being paid to be put 3 feet from that fight to make sure these guys are safe and healthy. That's what people don't realize. The big, and I get it. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody, of course, that's why the referees in the NFL are so highly paid because A, it's the NFL. B, there's so much high scrutinization that you have to deal with a lot of pressure from that. But what we run into the most problem is tournaments. Right, I do a lot of tournaments with the Nationals and the Worlds, where I just got back from Wales a few weeks ago. We see a lot of these guys. I have super, super cool relationships with some dudes that, like, I literally only know them from being inside the ring with them. Mm-hmm. And I ref these guys 3, 4, 5, 6 times in their most vulnerable moments where they choose to turn things around, or they choose to, people walk in the ring as one person and walk out as another person, and I get to be a part of that. So these is really unique relationships you get with these guys that you start to develop with them. And I know that this dude over here can take a fucking beating. You know what I mean? But I don't know how many fights this guy has had today or this weekend. So if I start to see him get damaged and start to woozy and get wobble, whatever it is, I have to err on the side of caution as a professional to make sure he's not going to get a fucking brain aneurysm later and get too many hits. Because I don't know, he might have fought 12 times that weekend. I know my first world tournament that I went to in 2013 as a competitor. My second world tournament. My first bracket, I had 8 fights to win to get to gold at the world level. And then I had a second bracket for full rules instead of glory rules, which had another fight that I had to be in. I could have fought 9 times to get 2 gold medals. Yeah. But instead, I was like, well, fuck glory rules, because that's kickboxing. I'm going to go to the full rules bracket where there's one guy, beat him up, come home a champion, and not have to risk you know what I mean? It's these smarter decisions you have to make. But I don't know in a tournament how many fights the guy in the blue corner's had that weekend. And I might have seen that guy in the red corner fight 10 minutes ago. Yeah. That happens all the fucking time, man. Because especially at Worlds, things get mumbled up. They get jumbled up. Brackets are moving at different paces. People are getting knocked out. People are taking longer in the fights, whatever it may be. I literally saw at least 3 or 4 guys get out of the ring. And it's happened to me as well back in the day. Get out of the ring. Oh, your name got called again? Just keep your gloves on. Go to the next ring. And I saw 2 girls from one from Team USA and one from Team Bermuda. They were fighting in ring 2, and they were having a hell of a fucking brawl. And I was doing the ring announcing, and I announced it, and I did second call. Third. I look on my screen, and it says Team USA versus Bermuda, and I look over and went, they're fighting right now. So we were like, oh, well, we've got to wait because it was the 2nd or 3rd round. And we were like, listen, it's medals day. We have to get this fight going. You guys can you guys do it? Dude, those girls went, yeah, and went right back to it with no dude, it was one of the most badass things I've seen. Team USA won both of them, but hats off to fucking Bermuda. Yeah. That's 12 straight minutes of fighting with almost no break in between. That shit was so badass to see.
Wow. Yeah. And like you said, there are things that people just don't know, but everybody's too quick to give their 2 cents. Now, at the years that you've been doing this, what was just thinking back, what was the worst judgmental thing somebody has said about you regarding either refereeing or judging? Because you know how they are.
As far as my refereeing or judging, I take a lot of pride in saying there are not very many complaints about me. There's just not. I am one of the most firm and fair referees that you will ever get. I've been doing this for 18 years. I know all the tricks in the book. I know what I'm looking at when a fighter keeps getting hit and their mouth guard falls out. That's the 5th time their mouth guard fell out this fight. Either they're not ready to fight or they're spitting it out. And I'm going to make a very loud vocal message to them. Keep that mouth guard in your mouth or I will call this fight. My voice carries very well. The whole arena will hear it when I say that to you. So everyone know that you are fucking around. You now have a choice. You can get embarrassed by being a fucking loser and a cheater, or you can man up and fight the way you're supposed to fight. I know what it looks like when you keep falling down slowly on top of your other fighter as your elbow comes up and you're landing your elbow into their chest when you fall on top. I'm not having it. That's not going down in my ring. I know what intentional knee kick looks like as opposed to an oblique kick to the fucking thigh. Like, I'm not playing games with you. The most I can say that somebody may have said about me, because there was, I'll say it was a complaint or remark, if you will.
Yeah.
They didn't like how physical I was with the fighters. I'll take that. But that was on a day where people were slowly falling over 5, 6, 7 times in the clinch. You
Yeah.
fuckers keep falling over, I'm going to stand you up and tell you no more clinching. Like, we're not playing
Yeah.
games here. We're not doing that. But I take a lot of pride in that there aren't a lot of complaints. And if there are, please bring them to me or my employer, whoever I'm working for at that time, whatever sanctioning body I'm with. And I can promise you that there is a long and intelligent answer to whatever question or concern you may have about how I operate.
See, and that's a great answer, because there are so many people that will just make comments. Oh, the referee, he stopped it too soon. Oh, or look at him, he was standing way too far. And oh, he didn't do this. Oh, he should have just let him just get right back up. And what they're not realizing is that you're a professional, you know what you're doing, you know how to handle the situation. But a lot of times it's not even that you as a ref or any other ref is doing anything wrong. It's just somebody looking to be relevant, you
Well,
know?
those are the same assholes that get upset when their team loses. It's not your fucking team. You didn't lose anything. You lost nothing. You lost time. That's all you lost. Wasting time on the Philadelphia Eagles or whoever the fuck you follow. Like, fuck those people, man. They can have all the opinions that they want. Go for it. Anybody that has an opinion like that, I'll ask them, how many fights have you been in? How many years have you been studying this sport? How high on the ladder have you climbed in the professional athletic world? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things. How high did you climb in the amateur world? Like, tell me about your experience and let's have a full-on conversation about why you're stupid. That'd be great.
There is never a dull moment in the sport, ever.
No, there is not.
How was Wales?
Wales was chaotic.
Yeah.
Wales was an experience for the books. So this year's World Championships were held in Wales, right next to Ireland, Scotland, England. It used to all actually be one country. I learned a lot while I was there about that. I didn't know it was all one. Pretty much the difference between like a Scottish accent and a Welsh accent is like a Boston accent and a Louisiana accent, because it all used to just be one big country, you know? But originally, and I'm glad we get to talk about this publicly a little bit, because a lot of people didn't understand some of the chaos that went on, and why it was the way it was. Originally, World Championships was supposed to be held in Ireland, and that was awesome. And that is predetermined about a year and a half prior to the World Championships actually happening. It doesn't happen overnight. It is 12 to 18 month process, right? As you can imagine, international bookings, it's a lot that goes into it. So everyone was set to go to Dublin, Ireland, and about 9 months or 3 months away from the actual World Championships, Ireland contacted us and said that they can no longer hold the World Championships at the venue that they were at, because they were taking in a bunch of, hundreds of Ukrainian refugees.
Mm-hmm.
What a humanitarian effort to make, right? That's awesome. But that now leaves us with 3 months to do 18 months of work.
Yeah.
So we had to find a place that could house all these athletes, all these guests, that had enough room for us to do all the events. Because it's not just Muay Thai and kickboxing and MMA. There's all the mat sports as well, all of the competitive karate or taekwondo point. Then the European system, or the European part of the world, there's a ton of like K1 light, low kick light. And there's a lot of like brackets you've never even heard of. There's combat boxing. Do you know what that is? Yeah, a lot of people don't. Combat boxing is boxing with like spinning back fists and foot sweeps. So
Really?
yeah, you can like throw a spinning back fist and spinning techniques. You can throw Superman punches, and you can also kick the foot out from underneath somebody, but it has to be like boot to boot, just very similar to Muay Thai. So there's these tons of brackets that people don't even know about, that we have for hundreds, if not thousands, of competitors, or thousands of guests, I should say. So we found a place, Ponte Sands Resort in Preston, Wales, excuse me, and we very successfully got 18 months of work done in a matter of 3 months.
Wow.
There were growing pains. There, it was not the venue we had originally planned for. We had to find we had to do what we could with what we had. And then not only did we have to change our plans, every competitor, every person, every parent, every girlfriend, every hanger on, everybody had to change their plans as well. So because of the last minute switch in location and venue change, we didn't have as many competitors this year, but we did have a full and successful world championship for probably 600 or 700 competitors overall. That's not a small event, you know. But we did successfully pull the event off with different referees and officials from around the world coming together and getting done by the skin of our teeth. It was a lot of work and there was a lot of changes that had to happen. But Dave Sawyer, who's the president of the WKA, was in contact with us all the times and helped make our lives as easy as possible. And pridefully say we got the job done.
Wow. Well, congratulations on getting the job done.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And that's the thing, people don't see the behind the scenes that it takes to get a show together, to get this event. It's not as easy as calling a few people and saying, hey, let's meet up for lunch, or let's meet up for a free class of rolling or sparring. It's a
Well, a
long.
lot of people don't understand that the people that are there, a lot of them are volunteers. A lot of the officials pay to go to world championships to be a part of it because it's a passion project.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So you're depending on people who want to be there, who don't have to be there.
Mhm.
You know, I can probably say that without the American officials and the American judges and referees, that tournament would have gone a hell of a lot slower. Let's put it that way.
Mhm.
There wouldn't have been nearly enough officials to fill it in. But again, USA to the rescue, right?
What can we expect from you moving forward?
So there's a couple things I'm focusing on with the business right now.
Which
Um,
business, since you have so many?
no, one business owner, a part of a bunch of different projects. Let me put it
Okay.
that way. There's a lot of things that we're building at Grindstone Athletics here in Virginia Beach, programs that we're growing, changes that we're making to the building. We are looking for a newer location that we are starting to grow in size and starting growing membership, which is really great. Um, Due to those things, I can't quite talk about all of them right now. I had my name in with a larger fight promotion um, up in New Jersey, New York. Had to take my name out of that, unfortunately, to focus on these things. But it was, they didn't have a matchup for me yet anyway, so it was all good to go. Um, but I get a chance to talk about more things. Um, Walked away from the organization that I was with, Lion Fight Promotions, and an open and free agent, like a lot of people are leaving that organization due to breach of contract. Um, so looking for fights now was a different thing for me as far as having to search for them, because I did have an exclusive contract with Lion Fight Promotions, which I didn't have to look for anything. I just had to wait for my phone to ring because I was a part of that promotion. After having openly walked away from the promotion, I'm happy to go back once terms are met and breach of contract is sealed, if you will. But now that I'm open candidate, open agent, I'm looking for other promotions to be a part of. There are a lot of big shows that I'd like to do mid to late 2023. Rami Ibrahim has been doing an amazing,
Yeah.
amazing job with Freedom Fighter Promotions. I would love to be a part of that whenever the time comes. I've been keeping a very, very close eye on that. I've known Rami for a long time. And everybody that I go and talk to who has fought for him on Freedom Fighter Promotions has said he's doing it right.
Mhm.
Every single thing he's doing it right. I mean, Rami had the longest active Muay Thai career in any North American fighter in history. The guy's been around the fucking block. I've known him for damn near 15 years now. And he's really, really killing it with that. So, Rami, if you're listening, man, mid 2023, late 2023, I'd love to get in there with you guys at Freedom Fighter Promotions. Hell, if you need a referee or an official or a judge, I'd love to get in there any part of that I can. That is the largest and fastest growing Muay Thai promotion in the world currently. And I'd love to be a part of that in any which way that I can.
Can you say what was the breach of contract or no?
Yeah, I have no problem talking about that. Again, before I talk about anything else with Lion Fight Promotions, I openly would like to go back to the promotion.
Mhm.
But business is business, and this is something they have done to not a lot of fighters. In fact, every fighter on the last card that I was with, they came in breach of contract with for not paying. Well, I don't know what their contracts were. I'll say a large portion of them to make sure
Mhm.
I'm being as politically correct as possible. Um, did not pay for the hotel that we got. Now, that's not a huge deal if that's up front and you're telling me you can't pay for my hotel. Not a huge deal. But when it's in my contract that you're going to pay for my traveling, lodging, room, and board, and all of a sudden I get damn near a $700 charge on my card 5 months after the fight, I call the hotel up and say, I think you guys mistakenly put my card on file and charged it by accident. And they say, oh, were you one of the fighters? Please hold. Oh, shit. This isn't good. So apparently, most of, if not all, the fighters who stayed in the same hotel as me, who was in their contract to pay for the room and board, did not pay for room and board. Not only did they not do that, they didn't tell any of us. They just let it happen whenever they decided to charge us. Um, I do know of several fighters that have banded together and are starting a lawsuit against Lion Fight for that breach of contract. I do know that there are a lot of gyms in the country right now that will not fight for them due to actions such as this. They don't want to deal with the lack of professionalism. For me, I can come to terms with them because I didn't work my whole fucking career to get to the top and then be treated that way. You're the top for a reason. You need to treat people like they're at the top. I'm not saying I'm some fucking superstar. I'm saying you breach contract on a very, very simple stipulation, which is very, very basic. So if you're not going to honor your end of the contract, I'm not going to be exclusive. And I have since walked away. But there are several fighters that are bringing up lawsuits, and it looks as if things are going to be taken care of, and it looks as if things will be mended. I'm not sure if they will or won't. I'm not waiting around to waste any
Mhm.
more time in my career for that to happen. So I'm more than happy to work out terms. I'm more than happy to go back to the promotion once things are taken care of in a professional manner.
Mhm. Well, well, at least we had a great event. You had great pictures, right?
The pictures are fantastic. You guys make us look like rock stars. Half of this is pushing yourself. The other half is looking cool, and you guys make us look cool.
You guys did all the work. You guys dedicated your time. You sacrificed certain things in your life to be there and put it together. And that's something that, people don't understand. They think it's just two people in a ring and that's it. And it's like, but no, you guys, every single fighter goes through something leading up to the fights. And nobody knows. Some fighters the night before have lost one of their parents, a family member, somebody in their life, and yet they still go and perform regardless. You guys find a way to stay focused, to perform the way you do. The least we can do is provide you evidence that it paid off, evidence that everything that you put in was there. Do you know what I mean? And at the same time, if you see something that you can fix because we documented it, then you can use that to go back and rectify it. Because it's like, oh, I thought I did this. Oh, but my hand was too high. It was a little low. It was, you know what I mean. So you guys can still go back and look at it. But you guys do a lot. It's not. And then the freaking cutting weight, that I don't even cut weight and I'm stressed, you know what I mean, for you guys because it's a lot. And it's just like, oh my gosh, so that's why when I'm there, I try taking the pictures as quickly as possible. Sometimes, you're supposed to go in order and I'm just like, you know what, what's your name? Because you've been waiting. Let's just take I don't have it in me to make you suffer and wait because I'm trying to go through the list. It's
You need
not
to
fair.
suffer more because your name's not on my list. No, fuck that.
It's just like, where are you? Okay, it's just you have to. Well, for me, I have to put myself in your situation, like, and I'm looking at you guys, and it's just like someone's about to pass out. Am I really gonna wait for this person to pass out while the other person is trying to make weight and it's not fair. So it's like just take
Well,
your pictures.
yes. first and foremost, thank you for being so fucking awesome. Like, and keeping us in mind. That's fantastic. But on the other end, it's part of the fucking game.
It is.
Like,
But
it's
if I could make it
suffering
easier,
is a choice, and that's what we're doing here. So
yeah.
like, there's definitely a line as a fighter. I've been there where they go, oh my God, thank God this photographer's so cool. Do the whole thing. And then like, all right, I'm going to go eat some food, whatever. But also like for those guys that are complaining and bitching, or why can't you do, it's the same as somebody bitching about a referee or bitching at you. Well, why can't you do this? Cause motherfucker, it's not your turn. That's why, like sit there, suffer like everybody else. You're not special.
You know what? I'm thankful nobody has ever come up to me to complain or to say anything negative. Like, I've never had that experience, and I'm thankful
Good,
for it.
good. Cause I've
Um,
seen some assholes out there.
yeah, but I just look, and it's kind of common sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I see somebody's gonna pass out, am I really gonna be that person to be like, no, you still have like another half an hour before we start taking pictures? Like, really? Like,
But as a photographer, are you going to catch that picture of them as they pass out on the ground?
no, I'm not.
Ah, damn.
I'm not, because I have too much. I would break. You know what I mean? I'd be trying to find something, or like, what do you need? Do you need water? Do you need a protein bar? Do you need, what is it that you need? You know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah.
like, what if it's something more? What if something gets super severe? It's one thing when a fighter is just sitting there, kind of relaxing, trying to ground themselves, trying to get into that zone of whatever it is that they're doing or going through. That's one thing. But when I see a fighter about to pass out, like, do I really want that on my conscience? Like, oh, I could have helped him, but I decided to take a picture.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't work for me. I don't know. Maybe that's why it is what it is. I don't.
It's not a bad quality.
Somebody mentioned the other day about the shirt that I told the guy to put on his shirt. And I was just like, no, no, that's not it. Remember how you and your buddy were going to take a picture together? But the
Oh, you're
youth
talking
shirt.
about at the last fight? Yeah. Okay. I was like, well, I let Craig Bonnie there for a second.
And I felt so bad because I told him, I'm like, do you mind putting on your shirt? And then he's like, oh, but I didn't. You tell the heavyweight to put on their shirt, but
Yeah.
you didn't tell the other. I was like,
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
know when it came out, after I heard it, it sounded totally bad, but that's not what I meant. What I meant
That's
was,
funny. That's Matt Ferguson, my good friend.
I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe that they remembered. They're like, did you make that guy? I was like, no, we were doing a picture and we were supposed to,
It
that
isn't
was
what you
it.
think, I swear.
Horrible to this day. I mean, looking back, it's funny, um, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Can't do much about it. So, what is it? How do you want to end this year? Do you want to have another fight? Are you going to be wrapping another show?
Um, I'm sure I'll ref a few more shows before the year's out. I do a lot of work with Gut Check Championships in Delaware. Anything that WKA does, I always work with them. I do have a large announcement to make, which I'm very, very excited about, coming up for beginning of next year. The first week of March, and this is a big focus that we have right now with the WKA, is that I will be taking a fighter, Marshall Juergens, the same kid I took to World Championships with me, out to Brazil for the Brazilian Invitational for WKA Team USA versus WKA Team Brazil. Not only will I bring Marshall to compete on that as I believe the only youth athlete on the team, I will be refereeing the event as well for another international opportunity. So I'm very excited about that. The WKA is expanding into the South American region, and Brazil is a territory that we are starting to grow in and has more interest for the sport. So with that, as a celebration of that, we are going to have WKA Team Brazil versus WKA Team USA. There was no qualifier for it. It's an invitational tournament. But that'd be a very good chance for Brazil to showcase its fighters for the very first time, and for us to go be a part of that and grow into the new territory and start to pioneer more opportunities for more fighters around the world.
Wow, that is amazing! Congratulations!
Thank you
And you
very
said it's
much.
first week in March.
Yes.
How many days is it? Is this just a 1 day event, or?
No. I believe it's a 5 or 6 day event. So it'll be the whole first week. Yeah, it's going to be very, very, very cool. I'm sure we're going to be doing a lot of things as far as just like we do with the world tournament, opening ceremonies, closing ceremonies, because again, this is a new territory that we're trying to pioneer, or we are pioneering the sport in, helping grow, and just be one more step further into the international circuit.
That is awesome. How do you deal with the language barriers?
It's tough, especially at the work. I'm of course going to try to brush up on my Portuguese a little bit before I go over there. But on the world tournament, the world level where there's people from all around the world, it wasn't too hard. I get a guy from Scotland, a guy from England. I pull them both in the middle. I'll literally say, gentlemen, you both speak English. So that means you know exactly what I'm telling you. So let's not fuck around today, But there was a guy from Mexico or Ecuador or somewhere in South America, and he did something illegal where I had to give him a warning. But a big part of that on the international circuit is that there are different rules and different regulations for each country that you come from, each territory that you're at. So where you might be used to doing one thing one way in Ecuador or fucking Africa or wherever you're from, that might not be legal over fighting in Europe or whatever it is. So this kid did something, and I broke my part. And again, I'm a very vocal referee, very loud. I said, "Hey, da 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 da," and I went, "You don't understand me." Okay, eyes on me. I had to very much use it was like talking like an Italian. I had to use all my hand motions. I show him, and finally he was like, "Cool." The coach he had translated a little bit. He didn't have the best English, but we got the point across. We got it done in less than 20 seconds. But that was a very, very stressful 20 seconds because my instinct was, "Hey, you, da 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 da, son of a bitch." Okay, thank. And that was a very unique experience. But going to Brazil, I'm definitely going to brush up on some of my Portuguese. I won't need to know too very much. It'll be very easy to, in the next few months, learn a couple commands of stop, break, whatever it may be, whatever that everyone's going to understand. Hopefully, English is one of the most widely spread languages in the world, and not the most widely spread language. So most places you go, people understand yes, no, good, bad, don't. And you can pretty much get the point across. But being that this is the first Brazilian Invitational that we've had with the WKA, I want to make sure I do brush up on some Portuguese a little bit and make sure that I can get the point across correctly to make sure everybody has the most fair shake. Just because you have an American referee and you speak Portuguese doesn't mean that you shouldn't have the same amount of communication that these guys do. That also looks like favoritism as well. So why would I not want to brush up a little bit and make sure that these guys have the most fair opportunity they can have?
Mm-hmm. Where did you get the weapon from? So I asked in the beginning, but
no. You could have. It's fine. We can talk about it all day. There's actually kind of a dark story to that. Yeah, right. So, I was probably 4 or 5 fights deep into my amateur career, and I was doing well. I was undefeated. I had 2 belts under me. I was on a roll. I was doing well. I was like, sweet. This is totally for me. I'm about this life, But I didn't have that cool ring name, and I wanted one real bad. So we were talking about it at practice, and we're talking about it, between the coaches and the fighters or whatever. And somehow a story came up about an acquaintance. I didn't know him. He's also since passed because many, many moons ago. About a guy named Brian that used to live in Naples, Italy with me. Now, I was a military brat, so I did 4 years of school living in Naples, Italy, with a very, very big international school, right? So while we were over there, there was a guy that they called Weapon, and that was his nickname. His name was Brian Medina. And I never knew why they just called this random tall Filipino dude Weapon, but he had this dope nickname. Yo, Weapon! Everybody, it was cool, right? and I always remembered that. And then he ended up getting deported out of the country back to America. And as the story goes, I guess his stepfather was kind of abusive to his mother, and he wasn't taking kindly to it. So he waited behind the door one day for the guy to get home and took a baseball bat to his head. And they said the only reason that the guy lived is because he had a briefcase and he could block some of the shots. And I remember somebody very specifically going, "That's why they call him Weapon." And I was like, holy shit, you know what I mean? Damn near murdered this guy. And this is 1998, 1999. Yeah, this is a while back. And something about that story popped up amongst me and my peers. And they're like, "Oh, you remember Weapon, or you remember da, 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 whatever it was?" And I was like, "Weapon, God, that was a badass nickname." What? um, you're not supposed to give yourself your own nickname, right? So I went to practice on like Monday or Tuesday, whatever it was, and I was like apprehensive. I was like, "Hey guys, I didn't want to say it, but like I really wanted to say it." So I was like, "Yo, I think I got a cool nickname, but like you can't deny that it sounds really dope." And they're like, "Well, what is it?" And I was like, "The Weapon." And they all went, "Chase the Weapon." Fuck, that is dope. Like it rolled off the tongue, you know? So there's kind of a dark background to it, where that comes from, but also I kind of like that story because that dude wasn't having it, and that, you know what I mean? Like he did what he believed was right. And also fuck that dude for abusing his mom. Like, so it's got a little bit of a dark history to it, but it makes for a pretty decent story when I tell it. It was also very cool for my debut as the Weapon. So that was fight number 6, I think, in my amateur career. And again, like I was on a roll. I had like a few belts, and I was doing well. And it was, you always learn right when you get to your most arrogant level. You know what I mean? The ego goes just a little bit overboard, and then you learn a very valuable lesson. So I go to fights up in Northern Virginia. I think it was even like a smoker fight. So it was just an exhibition, and there was no, no sanctioning body that was involved. And all my friends on the team, they're like, "Yo, you better fucking win. Like, you can't have like a dope name now and not win. That's not your name anymore." Like, so I was like, "Whatever, dude. Like, I'm the Weapon, dog. Whatever, it's as cool as I could be." And go, bell rings, touch gloves, and then this dude just fucking lays hands on me. I mean, it's just beating the piss. I've still got like the mini DV tape on from my camcorder. That's how far back we're going here. But I mean, you can literally see me get hit in the face, and like I'm on my heels, spaghetti on. So, like it was embarrassing. It was bad, and like had nobody ever hit me like that before in my whole life. And I had this dude, like grown man, beating my ass. So I get back to the corner. I'm like, "Oh, what do I help?" Coaches in my face yelling at me and yada yada yada, and I get up and then I start fighting back. Right. And that was cool. And then there was, the shit had changed. And I was like, "All right, cool." And I was like, everyone was like losing their mind in this tiny ass venue because they're like, "Holy shit, this guy's fighting back." And then all of a sudden, pow, kicked him right in the teeth. And I was like, sweet. He drops, he gets 8 count, and then the whole round totally shifts. Then we end up going into the 3rd round, and there's no more instruction. It's just screaming, and it's just chaos. "You fucking, you heard him," and like as well it should be. Those moments are super fucking cool and super unique and super rare. And you're lucky if you get to go through one like that. And then round number 3 comes in, and we go back at it, and I'm totally on the upper hand. Another head kick, a couple hits, and then that was actually my first knockout with a push kick to the face, which I have taken as my claim to fame, or my signature move, if you will. There is not a fight that I've had professionally where I did not land several front kicks to the face to my opponent. And I blame that day for sure, because I hit that guy. He did a full 360 drop, and the whole place just thunderously erupt. And I was, dude, I am the fucking Weapon, and I am about this fucking life. You know what I mean? Like that was it. That I was like, this is the shit. It's a very cool fight to have as well, because a lot of people don't know that my current manager, Scott Howard, was actually the referee in that match. So that was one of my first experiences with him. And then later on in life, in my pro career, I went to him as my manager and helped me grow. And, it was super cool. Fun backup to that is Scott Howard, my manager, who was the referee for that fight once again. was at my gym a few weeks after that, 2-3 weeks after that, and I recognized him. I was like, "That's the guy," you know. That's sweet. So I went up to him and I was like, "Hey," I actually called him the wrong name too, about an individual he doesn't even like. He actually fucking hates that guy. So my coach was like, "No, this is Mr. Howard. Say hello." So, and I was trying to be as after I put my foot in my mouth and called him the wrong fucking name. Um, I said to him, I said, "Listen, I really just wanted to thank you for not calling that fight in the first round. Because trust me, I'll show you the tape one day. He could have called that fight in the first round for sure." And in true Scott Howard fashion, he was like, "Oh, well, really, I just wanted to see someone get knocked out. So I got what I wanted. So thanks, bud." So that experience of that fight and meeting Scott Howard and that response, that stuck in my head so permanently that when I was looking for a coach to go pro under and I was looking for a new team, I was like, that's the guy. I'll never forget that shit. That's the guy, you know?
That's an awesome story. That is definitely an awesome story because you started the round and it was a little iffy, but he
Oh,
actually
no,
shot.
it wasn't iffy. It wasn't iffy. I was getting my ass handed to me.
But what he was doing was he was sharpening the weapon because after that,
There
boom,
you go. That's what it was.
right? Thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to share before we conclude with this interview?
No, just keep your eyes on Grindstone Athletics. A couple of big things coming up, a couple of competitors that we're going to be taking the chains off of this coming year, going into the new year, making sure they have plenty of opportunities lined up. A lot of fight organizations have been announcing their 2023 lineup, and we intend to have competitors on a lot of those. So we're getting those guys prepped right now. Getting them through the holidays is always the hardest part. And January 1st comes, and all of a sudden, all the fights open back up, and making sure everybody isn't fat and out of shape when that happens. And trying to let them have their fun for holidays that they deserve to have, give them the break they need, but also make sure that they're getting set for the next amount of fights that are coming out. Because again, I believe Freedom Fighters announced it, Gutcheck announced it, the WK announced what their 2023 schedule is looking like. There's a lot of opportunities out there. I want to make sure my competitors get every chance they can to be on that. I know that we announced with the WKA that the next world tournament is actually going to be in Bali, which I am very excited about. So I'll be going to that as a referee for sure. But I'd very much like to go as a coach again as well and bring some of my guys. So we're not the kind of camp that starts, all right, 2 months to go, let's move. We're not getting ready for nationals. We're getting ready for Bali. Nationals is just in our way. So we need to start prepping for it now, you know? So getting those guys prepped up, keeping the team on track during the holiday season. Definitely keep your eyes open for the Brazilian Invitational the first week of March. That's going to be a hell of a lot of fun with Team USA. And then after that, it'll be nationals in Bali and hopefully Freedom Fighting Championships. And again, hopefully Lion Fight as well. I'd love to make sure that things get taken care of in a professional, amicable manner and continue to move on and help the sport grow. I don't want to diminish anybody or opportunities or relationships, but I will not go unheard when I have a platform to speak on and I've been wronged. You know what I mean? I'm not the only one. There are a lot of fighters out there who are very afraid to speak their piece about it and they're very nervous about doing so. It's risky to talk about, but if somebody doesn't take the risk, then we're all going to keep getting shit on, and I'm not having it. So I hope to have a very busy 2023 schedule, both fighting, refereeing, judging, all the above with my competitors, and I hope to see the sport grow more than it has in the past and continue the upward progression of the sport.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime you want to have me on, I'll be happy to be back.
Yay! You will be. Because we need the weapon, you know?
Yeah, right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Take care, dog. Talk to you soon.